Hey guys, how's it going? You guys wanted some baby Ackie content. I've been getting many requests of that. So I thought it would be fun if I go through all 11 Ackies and talk about their patterns and what is unique about them and kind of this journey this time around for my second clutch. So let's get to it and we'll start talking about these lovely guys. So just a disclaimer, I just took these guys out. They haven't been sitting in here for long. They're totally fine. They're not stressed out. I'm pretty confident in this. I'm just gonna go one by one and kind of show you off their patterns and everything, and then I'll put them right back in the enclosure after I'm done talking about each individual. Okay, so generally, I just want to point out some cool things. There's been a lot more lines sort of developed in the back of some. You can see a little bit there. This guy's got a couple connections here. I know a lot of people love the lines down the back. And the other really cool thing is the diversity in their patterns in terms of size. You can see for like this guy, he's got little circles. Then this guy's got some big circles. Some of them are more yellow, some of them are more red. There's just a big diversity in patterns in this clutch. One thing I can say about these guys that's different than the first clutch is I don't see as many yellows in them just yet. They're a lot more ground reddish colors, which is really interesting. Typically, my Ackies from Asus and Dell, when they're babies at least, will have a lot of yellow in the neck and the face and a lot of ground colors in the back, but I don't even really see the yellows in the neck right now. Okay, so let's go individually. I'll pick this guy up right here as long as he works with me, he or she, because I like the pattern on the back. I would say this one's probably the most yellowish I've seen of the bunch. You can see, I mean, it's still groundish colors, but there's some tints of yellow in there. I really love the circles on this guy, though. They're almost like hexagons, or I don't know, or pentagons. They have like many sides to them. They're not just perfect circles, although there are a couple. And like I said, this one has a couple connections along the back here. I would love to see how that develops in age. And of course, they typically all have the little line behind the head. This one's developing nice. I believe there's a little bit of a tail shed going on. I really like this guy, though. Now, one thing I've done differently this time around in comparison to the first clutch is I feel like I've been feeding them a lot more. I was more particular with the first clutch, just making sure I feed a precise amount. I don't really know how to describe it, but this one I've just been really feeding as many as they'll eat, and I think their size is a lot bigger at this point than the first clutch, which I really like. I think I'm doing that better here. Okay, so this guy does have some yellows in the back, I'm noticing, but a lot smaller of circles. I think the other one was a little bit bigger too compared to this guy. But this guy, pretty similar. Doesn't really have the lines in the back though, like the other one that we just saw previous to this. But the circles are really small and the pattern's really concise in particular. I don't know what kind of art this is. It's almost like the art you see in churches and such, but it kind of gives that vibe to me. I don't know, I'm not much of an artist. Like I said, usually in the guys I get from Asus and Dell, the yellows are really prominent here. And you don't really see too many, but you can see kind of around the ear, there's a little bit of yellowish and a little bit in the neck right there. It's really subtle and hard to pick up, but those should grow in with age. This guy is definitely a lot more dark on the back. I really like the arms. I don't know if you can see that, but there's a lot of cool spots in the fingers that's really interesting. I don't really recall ever seeing that. And it looks like this one has a lot more yellow in the legs. Look at the back legs too, the spots in there. That's really cool. I don't think I've seen spots like this in a lot of Ackies. And there's a little bit more yellow in the neck in this one compared to the other ones. I really love to see whoever ends up getting this one, how the legs and the front and back legs turn out with the spots. And I think they'll be much more yellow compared to the rest of the body. Do you think people should subscribe to this channel? Huh? Yes, I do. Oh, there you go. First speaking baby Ackie produced. First person to do it. Oh, that good. I'm going to try to turn this guy over a little bit, but look at the neck. It also has some really cool spots in there. That's really cool. I mean, all Ackies typically have some patterns under their head. I don't want to keep you on your back too much, but this one has some kind of Dalmatian-y type patterns under the neck. I really like that. That's interesting. This guy is really cool. He's a little crazy, so I'm trying to work with him here, and some of these guys are a little bitey, so we'll have to see. But look at the different size circles. It looks, when you get to the center, the back along the spine, there's really big circles, and then they get a little bit smaller as they go outwards. But there's a lot of cool colors in here. It looks really kind of earthen. I don't know if that's even a word, but earthy, I guess. So there's some yellows and some whites in the back now near the spine, and then as you kind of go out towards the sides, there's some oranges, it looks like, maybe some red a little bit. I don't know. I don't really know how to describe the back, but it looks really cool. There's some whites in here that I kind of like, again, with the arms. And around the neck, I don't know if you can really pick up on that, but around the neck, it kind of looks like there's no color there, and it's kind of just white. Really interested to see how this one develops, because it has such a range of colors, and it looks overall really light, but there's a lot of orange and reds too, if that makes sense. So this guy, really cool pattern, definitely looks a lot more orangish down the back compared to some of the other guys. It does, again, lighten up around the neck, though. Like I said various times already, I don't know why I keep repeating myself, it's usually yellow there, but a lot of these kind of look whitish around the neck. That's really interesting. I'd really like to see if that develops to yellow or kind of stays bland, because I don't really see a lot of the bland, although the yellow is still pretty nice. We'll have to see. Again, with the arms, really cool dots in there. I'd love to see how those develop. It seems like a lot of these kind of have them that I didn't notice. And it looks like the line behind the head here for this guy's a little bit longer than some of the other ones, although it doesn't really continue down the back and have any connections there. This one's really similar to one we just looked at. Again, very dark along the back. There's reds in there, very volcanic, I almost feel like would be a good description of that. It has the polka dots on the arms. Really cool, similar to the first one though. The line behind the head is a little broken up too. It almost looks like dashes, which is kind of cool, but not as full as some of the previous ones we've seen. Now this one's really cool. Look at the line going down the back there. It's not a perfect line, definitely not, but there are some connections, and it gives a very good illusion of there being a full line down the back. I think this is the only one of the clutch I have that looks like this. Now this was the second one that I suspected, I believe this is the second one that I suspected had bloating problems, but it seems like that might not be true. I'm still gonna get him checked at the vet. I think he might have just been really full from eating. I don't know. I'm gonna get him checked out, but he or she has been doing really good since kind of that concern, and I don't think there is a problem, but as long as he or she's healthy, gonna go to a new home. This one's definitely one of the coolest looking though. I really love how on the sides it gets really white and yellow. The back, there's some of those volcanic oranges, and the line is very illusion oriented and looks like it's almost a full line, and some connections throughout it. So really cool guy. The neck is really cool. I think you can see some yellowishes around there. I really like this guy. This one definitely has some of the smallest patterns on the back there. This one's not one of the biggest ones either, so it could just be that he's going to grow into that pattern a little bit more. But you can see how tiny the circles are. And I kind of like the circles along the spine right here, because it almost looks like it's like little spikes, which is really cool, really interesting to me. This one doesn't really seem to lighten up as much around the head though, which is really interesting. Still polka dots sort of on the arms, but overall, pretty standard Ackie. Still really cool. I like the small pattern here because you were seeing a lot of guys who have bigger circles. So it'd be cool if they keep that precise pattern that he has there, especially if these dots in the arms and legs continue to develop, since it'll be kind of fluid throughout the whole entire body. Okay, you see these two guys next to each other? I really like this because it shows kind of the difference in patterns along the back. We have really big circles here and really small circles here. So that's what I'm kind of talking about, the diversity. And this one almost looks like in between them. So let's talk about these final three. So one of the things I've noticed about the larger circled pattern guys, which I guess makes sense, is they're a lot more kind of yellowish and ground colored. And I think that's mostly because the connections around the circle, those patterns are darker in color. So if they're more concise, they're going to look darker and more reddish overall, where the actual circle aspects inside those lines are a lot more light. So I think that you're going to get a lighter pattern overall with the guys who have bigger circles, bigger patterns on their back, like this guy. So this guy does have a couple connections going down the spine. A little hard to see, and it's a little jagged, which is kind of interesting. But there are a couple connections here. Again, still showing off those dots on the legs and the arms, although I don't think they're as obvious as some of the other guys. But what I really love about some of the guys who have the bigger patterns on them is to distinguish between their back and their neck right here. So you can see their back here going into their neck gets a lot white, and I think they're going to look really white or really yellow as they get older, and that's going to be interesting to see. Another cool guy here, actually I think this is the guy with probably the smallest overall circles on the back in the pattern. I'm watching his face because he's digging into my finger a little bit, and some of these guys are feisty, like I said. But this guy looks like he has the smallest, most concise patterns on the back here, which is really cool. I also see a little bit more yellowish a little further down the back here around the neck, which will come in really cool. This guy definitely looks like he can have the most diverse overall pattern in terms of there being strong oranges and reds, and then some strong yellows as well, which I love the best because they're very vivid. So this is a cool little guy here, very small, so it might expand a little bit in their pattern as they get a little bit older, but definitely a really cool Ackie nonetheless. Last but not least, we're looking at this one, very crazy in here. Oh, there he goes, or she goes. But this one's looking really cool. This one has some nice division in oranges and yellows as well. You can see on the back, there's some nice volcanic colors, but then along the tail base, trying to keep this one in check, very crazy. Along the tail base and the neck, you can see some whites and yellows, and I think there's a little bit more yellows in this one compared to some of the other ones. So I think you might get a nice yellow in the head, nice orangish colors in the back here, and then some nice yellows in the tail. So it kind of may flow really nice. Has some nice patterns in the arms, which is really cool. And the neck, very white. Hopefully some yellows will come in along the head there though. Okay guys, so that's our video today. I really thought you guys would like to see the patterns I produce with Asus and Dell and such, to give a little bit more of a background about what they look like, especially for those of you who want to buy some in the coming weeks or days. So there you go. You guys also asked for more baby Ackie content. Hopefully that delivered, and you can see how much they've grown so far already. They've really taken hold of their bodies so far compared to my first clutch. So really happy about that. I really think they're all doing well and healthy. I will check with the vet on that one just to double check. But again, guys, coming soon, they'll be ready to go to new homes and new owners and start their lives with you guys. So stay tuned for that. Couple announcements before finishing up the video. I want to thank Darian J, Kat and Rick, Mahan's Bioactive Reptiles, Brian B, Herp M, Angela L, David T, and Smooth Cat. I really appreciate you guys supporting the Patreon. You guys too can support the Patreon for as little as $1 a month. Check the top right for more information. If you guys don't want to join the Patreon, you can still support the channel by checking out the merch. Wearing my logo today, but there's 3 more designs that's to the left of my head. Right on your screen, check the Teespring link in the description for more information. Okay guys, again, that wraps up this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. I'd really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.